Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
Guys, it's time to Clash with Chicken. In today's video, guys, we have breaking news. This is an emergency announcement. We have some update news for Clash Quest that I am so excited to share with you guys. So this is an article that I have pulled up right here, posted by Pocket Gamer, and it's actually an interview with Supercell about Clash Quest. Now, I have not read this article yet myself, so we're going to read it together, and we're going to go over some of the points. And, guys, we have some hints on the next update here. So, very exciting. Let's go ahead and get into it. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to keep you guys up to date on everything that is Clash Quest. So, Supercell talks breaking the mold of puzzle games with Clash Quest. Maybe I should move my microphone over here just a touch. Oh, that screwed up something else. Yep, this is going to work. All right, Supercell talks breaking the mold of puzzle games with Clash Quest. This is Pocket Gamer speaking right now. In our making of series, PocketGamer.biz reaches out to developers to learn more about the process of releasing a video game and highlight the extensive work that goes unseen in the background. This week, we spoke with Supercell game lead Tuco, I'm going to butcher this, Takokaleo, about how Clash Quest strives to disrupt the match 3 dominated puzzle game genre and the lengthy iteration process behind making games at Supercell. So right off the bat, I'm really excited for this because this just goes to show that Supercell is really invested in Clash Quest. This is not something that they're just batting around. This is a game that they are clearly invested in, and I think it's really going to dominate the puzzle strategy genre. So let's continue. So Pocket Gamer starts off by asking the question, where did the initial idea for Clash Quest come from? Bit of a lengthy reply, but let's go ahead and read it. So Tuco, the guy from Supercell, responds by saying, every project at Supercell has had its own unique development journey, and the story of Clash Quest is no different. Usually a new project gets kicked off at Supercell when a small group of people come together and start working on a game or a few prototypes. So typically first there is a team, and after that comes a game. However, Clash Quest got started more like a side game project that only later evolved into a full game team. In August 2018, I was working as a game lead for Everdale. Wow, back in 2018, that's wild. And started thinking how we could combine Clash troops with a new type of puzzle gameplay. My feeling back then was that puzzle games had evolved to a quite specific direction, dominated by only a few core mechanics, mainly match 3 or blast mechanics. If you guys have ever seen those kind of like Gardenscape games, I believe that's what he's talking about, is like it's kind of like the Tetris thing, I guess, in a way, where it's like the icons fall down and you have to match them, and that's basically what every single puzzle game has kind of devolved into, regardless of what goes on in the background, kind of thing. Anyways, I think that's what he means. Mainly match 3 or blast mechanics. I felt that there was still much more to be explored in the puzzle space. Now, Supercell also launched a puzzle game called Heyday Pop, and it's very similar to what he's talking about. So maybe that was part of it. Maybe they wanted to make a puzzle game, but they didn't want it to be Heyday Pop. They didn't want it to be Gardenscape. They wanted it to be something new, which is basically what Clash Quest is. I'm going to rant here for a sec. And it's basically like a way more interactive kind of puzzle game where you have control over the troops. You can upgrade your stuff, and it's kind of like a more in-depth version of that, which is, again, why I'm so excited about this game, and I feel like it has a lot of depth, a lot of potential. Let's keep reading. However, Clash Quest got started more like a side game. Oh, we already read that part. I initially wrote a quick design draft of the idea and showed it to some people. A few weeks later, I talked with one of our developers who had just finished a project and was looking for something new. I showed the concept to him, and he got excited. We quickly decided to start building a prototype for the game. For the next 9 months or so, we iterated the prototype together and tweaked the design. I was still focusing on Everdale and only worked on the design side, whereas Juho, the guy he was talking to, was fully working on it, creating everything from art to code. At some point, after iterating the game enough, we felt it was ready for an actual company-wide playable. We let everybody in the company play the game and gathered feedback from it. The playtest got some good feedback, and we decided to start building an actual team around the game. We officially kicked off the project in fall 2019. At this point, I jumped into full-time working on the game, and another person working at Supercell took the lead of the Everdale team. We ditched the prototype and restarted the project on our own internal engine. After roughly 18 months of development work, with a team that grew from 4 to 13 people, we finally put it out to beta in April of 2021. Pocket Gamer goes on to ask, what have you enjoyed most about working on Clash Quest? Supercell answers by saying, from the get-go, the goal was to build a new type of puzzle game that would utilize the magic of Clash characters. We wanted to make a puzzle game that would not be a copy of any other game out there. The most fun part of the challenge has been just this, how to create something new that would still be fun and intuitive to play, not an easy challenge. Curiously, some people have made the comparison that this game is similar to Match 3 games, whereas others have said it is similar to Legend of Soulguard. I'm not familiar with that game. While it does share some similarities between both games, say with Soulguard in terms of having power progression and a linear map, which what I was talking about before really kind of sets it apart. I think the actual core gameplay mechanics are quite different. In my experience, whenever you change some design fundamentals, the whole game needs to be built in a different way. I don't think many players will notice these differences, but they can have a big impact on how the game needs to be built. For example, just the fact that in Clash Quest, the match end trigger is running out of troops. The match end trigger is running out of troops instead of, say, running out of turns, has a big impact on many things. Not having a clear reference game makes development harder, but also provides lots of new fun design challenges for the team. In addition to iterating the gameplay, the most fun parts from the design point of view have been coming up with the systems on how to generate and manage the content. For us, all levels are generated based on just some data. This allows us to manage and iterate progression, content, and the economy of the game quite easily, and also allows us to keep the team very small. The other system I personally really enjoyed designing was the league system for the game. In Clash Quest leagues, all players around the world are competing in the same league system with endless content. Yet, with an equal competitive playing field, coming up with the system for how to manage one giant league structure and how to create endless content in a balanced way for all players and different points of progression was really fun. So yeah, he kind of puts it in perspective there why there's like not a lot of simple things that can come to this game, because it really is kind of a new design on an old system, kind of, so to say. What has been the biggest challenge or setback you've had to overcome during development is the next question. Okay, we got a few more questions and then we'll wrap it up here and I'll give you my overall thoughts on this. But biggest challenge. As always in development, there are many small challenges and setbacks that you need to deal with. I think building the team, maintaining momentum, figuring out the right scope for the beta, and so on were all difficult challenges. I don't think we faced any one particular major setback during the development, though, nor did we do any major pivots. I would say, just from my point of view, obviously I don't know, but I would assume that the hardest thing that they've done is to bring clans and to kind of figure out how clans are going to work and look. That was definitely the biggest update we've seen so far. Figuring out how to communicate the attack outcomes the clearest way to the players has been one of the challenges we have spent a lot of time iterating on. Making the troop behavior as intuitive as possible and finding ways to teach players how the different troops behave in the game was one of the main challenges for us. For example, the possibility to preview the attacks by tapping and holding was implemented to help players learn how the attacks would play out and therefore help them better strategize their next moves and eventually master the game. Next question. Have there been additional stages in developing a game with an already established IP? It's an interesting challenge and a great opportunity at the same time. To use an existing IP for a game, an existing IP provides a lot of interesting building blocks to play around with. For us, the most natural starting point for the game was to use the troops and defenses from the Clash world. It is a great benefit to have lots of cool content that many players are already familiar with. On the other hand, adapting the visual style to fit both the game and the IP was not easy. We tried many different art styles, some more detailed and visually complex, some very casual and simplistic. The final visual style was settled on because we felt it supported the gameplay the best, and it was clear and simple characters are easier to read and interact with on a small puzzle grid. So that makes a lot of sense. This is our second last question here, guys. So what did you learn from the soft launch period, and were there any changes you enacted as a result? There has been tons of learning for us. We wanted to go to beta with with quite a minimalistic and bare-bone version of the game, and we ended up cutting out a lot of features that we envisioned being in the game from the initial beta release. The idea was that we could test out the core gameplay with real users as fast as possible and see and see if it had promise or not. During the beta, we have implemented a lot of these missing features, such as clans and the clan league, which we added in our big November update last year. I think one of the learnings for us has been to understand what type of players our current core users are. Currently, they seem to be quite strategic players who understand the depth in our game and enjoy brainy puzzles. While many players do enjoy the strategic planning, some people won't get this far and instead quit early. We think they too often feel like they don't make any meaningful progress and hit a difficulty wall that they can't pass. We think at its current form, some players see the game as too hard and perhaps also too deterministic. 100%. I would agree with that. In our next update, we want to provide players with more cool action moments. Here we go. The next update. Here it is. More cool action moments while also adding some more depth to the gameplay. We are hoping to address this by introducing a new set of collectibles. Runes. Troops can now equip runes, providing powerful but rare effects that can affect the outcomes of the battle in cool and surprising ways. So, my first thought on runes are very similar, possibly, to Brawl Stars, where maybe you can equip certain runes and they give different troops different stat buffs or increases, or maybe a new mechanic. Maybe instead of the wizard shooting fire, he shoots an electric ball that instead of hitting a 9-square tile, hits a 4-square tile, but freezes them for the next 2 or 3 turns, something like that. You know what I mean? So it could introduce a new mechanic. It could introduce new stat buffs. A lot of potential here. Really exciting. Yeah. Runes. Troops can now equip runes, providing powerful but rare effects that can affect the outcomes of the battle in cool and surprising ways. Last question. What will be your approach to live ops once the game is released? So live ops means basically how the game is going to not produce content, but how the game is going to play within itself. You know what I mean? Like, is there going to be like weekly clan challenges? Are there going to be special events? Are there going to be different game modes? Like, again, to look at Brawl Stars, for example, I just mentioned Brawl Stars because it's the biggest game that most people probably are familiar with. They have like weekly challenges. They have monthly special challenges. They have different things that continually go on in the game that are not necessarily like specific content updates, where it's like a new troop or like a new brawler or a new game mode, but it's just like regularly mixing in different things that come to the game that people expect and are fun to play. I believe that's what they mean. So they say, our plan is to make the game world feel more alive and to provide more variety and depth to the game over time. In the future, we're hoping to provide much more content with a steady cadence and also add new cool twists to the core gameplay. New updates would also add new regions on the map. The regions, of course, introduce a lot of new levels, but also new troops, spells, tactics, items, bosses, etc. Adding more varied content and also gameplay twists will create a lot of different permutations and challenges for players to defeat and master. Tongue twister on that one. But that's exciting, man. That's exciting. Basically exactly what I just said, so won't touch on that too more. Of course, Supercell is a high bar for any new release. We take the decision to launch a game or not very seriously, so first we want to develop the game to its full potential before making any decisions on a potential global launch. So, to me, that all sounds like good stuff. Again, I'm really hyped for this game, guys. I think it's going to be, like we said at the beginning of the video, a new take on a specific game genre that we haven't seen yet, and we have the familiar Clash World IP to back that, and it sounds like they're going to be doing nothing but adding really exciting new features to this game. So, that's all I got. I want to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is going to wrap it up for the video today. And if you want to check out this article for yourself, it is just search Pocket Gamer Clash Quest and it should come up. I'll link it down in the video description. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is going to wrap up the video today. Make sure to leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative. Catch you next one, guys. Chicken out. Back.